What better way to share their story than to actually have them come in person and you hear it directly from them. I could make a video, I could make a recording, I could make a post for social media like we normally do, but there's something that's different and special when you actually hear it from that individual's mouth. So today we have two guests who are going to kind of share their stories. The first guest I'm going to ask come up is Mr. Adrian Hare. He will make his way up here. He has a beautiful story that I can't wait for you all to hear. So we're just going to have a little conversation so you can get to know a little bit about him and his experience and so forth. I'm going to ask him to have a seat up there, and I'm going to slide here. I'm going to give you the mic because they don't want to hear me. And I'll just talk loud and kind of ask a few questions and so forth from there. Mr. Hare, you know, I've had the privilege of kind of talking, I think about a month ago, and we kind of talked and shared some stories and learned a little bit about you, and I know that you're from the Lover's State, Virginia. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your story? How did you get from Virginia to here? And just kind of give us a little overview of what that looks like.
Absolutely. First of all, the one thing we have to do, my mother has always taught her children, follow God. That's it and that's all. So thank God I grew up knowing, not knowing that as you go on your journey, there's going to be so many bumps in the road that to have something to fall on is the best thing ever happened. So anyway, after high school, I decided to leave Hampton, Virginia, because, you know, sometimes your mind is bigger than where you are. And so even though sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, I took the big part and left. Came to Atlanta, Georgia, hoping that in time, because I got here a week before the Olympics, so that means I'll be growing with Atlanta as Atlanta's growing. And so I went to IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Union, 613, right across the bridge here. Took up a 4-year course to be a journeyman electrician. And it just was amazing. I never thought that I would have any idea that I would be an electrician, but that's what God has made me to do. So as I was being an electrician, I met folk along the way, as though we always meet people, some good, some bad. Now, in my case, I hitched my wagon to the wrong person, and I end up in prison. And this is after 15 years of working with the union, buying a house down in Newark County, Georgia. Newark County, Georgia. Covington, Georgia. And again, during the pandemic, you know, being in the house a little longer with people that you're not used to being a little longer because the 8 hours has been cut out because of the pandemic. It just didn't work so well for me or her. And so, you know, we got into some spats and it just didn't end well with me because the judge was saying that because of your actions, you can no longer return to your house after me letting him know that we're in a pandemic. I mean, where else can I go? Because if I go outside, I'll catch the virus and I'll die. And he, in no regard, says, well, that's not my problem. And so at that point, I said, well, it's up to me. And so I went back home and I forgot all about it. But he told me that if I go back home, I'll be going to prison. And so I had to go to prison in 2019 for 1 year for returning back to my house. Now, we'll say that that's not something so harsh that you would have to go to prison for. But sometimes God has a way of trying to separate you from the bad things in life. And then in order to get you to get back into the way that you should be thinking, that's what the year came from. This is what I decided that this had to be what was happening to me. Separation from the bad. Giving you a year to get the heartache mended and getting the mind back together. And so that this is the only reason that this could have happened. And so I understood it. So when I got out in 2021, Newark County Jail they lost my personal belongings, my driver's license, my birth certificate, my social security card, my ring, my watch, my jewelry, my wallet, everything that was important to me. They lost it. So when the prison dropped me off in front of the Greyhound bus station, I think it was 104 degrees. I had on my khakis, I had on my white shirt, I had on my black sneakers, and I had one pair of underwear and one t-shirt and one belt to my knee. So the first thing I did was call back to Newark County Jail. Did you guys happen to find my things? You had a year to do it. Is it possible that I could come get it so I could, because I'm now without an ID, identification, which means that if the police drives up on me and I don't have an identification, I could go back to jail. So they're telling me, well, you're gonna have to hold on and we're gonna have to get with some people, and that hold on lasted almost 3 weeks. And in the meantime, I had to go live, because I don't have ID. I mean, my family, I called them and they said, well, we put the money at the Walmart so you can go get you somewhere to live. Now you're gonna have to get it out. So I go to Walmart with my prison papers, because I don't have an ID. With my prison papers, can I please get the money? And the manager said, there's nothing we can do. And I say again, sir, I'm gonna have to be on the streets during a pandemic. Now, I've lasted in prison. The violence, the pandemic, the virus. Then I come back into society. Because of Newark County losing all my credentials, I have to go live under a bridge so I don't have to run ins with the police. See, with my luck, I'm thinking that's the first person they're gonna run to, and then I don't have a driver's license, so I'm going back to jail, and that's not gonna happen. So I'll live under the bridge until somebody helps them. Well, living under the bridge, not knowing the symptoms of COVID-19, the people that's under the bridge with them, they're coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing. One of those 100-degree days, I walked, but I couldn't make it past the bus stop right here on Forsyth Street. And I slumped over, not knowing why. But just like you hear that ambulance, God sent an ambulance. That's what the people at Grady Hospital told me. That they saw you slumped over, they pulled up, took you to Grady. Grady said, you've got COVID-19, so when I wake up a day or two later, I'm under a respirator. Out of the side peripheral, I'm looking at doctors and nurses running 100 miles an hour and also hearing code blue every 5 minutes. Now, I was old enough to know what code blue means, but I'm hoping that they're not calling it for me. But I'm seeing the seriousness of what's going on because of the doctors and the nurses. They're running. They're not walking. They're running. So as the nurse is talking to me, as I'm gaining back my energy, as Grady has helped me, as God has helped me, regain consciousness, regain my energy. I could tell my story to the nurses, and they would go back and tell the community department of Grady, so I can have somewhere to go, because I don't have anywhere to go. So they put me in a hotel for 2 weeks. They finally, in that 2 weeks' time, I'm calling back down to the jail. Is anybody gonna help me? Is anybody obligated to help me? Because you guys were the one that lost my things. And now I'm in a world of trouble. Health-wise, mentally-wise, physically-wise. I'm just asking for somebody to help me get an ID. I guess that's $8, $12. Here we go again. We'll call you back. Within that 2 weeks, I never got a call back from Newton County Jail. And I'm hoping that one day that somebody can help me face those giants so this don't happen to another person. So Grady comes to me within 2 weeks and say, well, Mr. Hare, because of your story, because what has happened since you've been out of prison, we're going to help you down in Sandy Springs. There's a drug and alcohol rehabilitation program, but we're going to pay them to put you in their shelter. But I don't know if I was there 2 weeks. There's 6 people to a room, and one of the guys came in high, one of the guys came in drunk, kicked the door down to the bedroom. My bed is right by the door. I get stabbed in the neck by a steak knife, 50 stitches. And as I sit at the kitchen table waiting for the director and the assistant director to come to tell me what to do from here, because I'm scared to pull the knife out before I'll bleed to death, they said, Mr. Hare, we cannot call the ambulance or the police. I said, my God. The reason I'm standing because I don't want to cry. And I know I will if I sit down, because that's just too much at that point. At that point, surviving cold, and then to turn around, I got a steak knife in the back of my neck. Don't know what I'm going to live or die. My t-shirt's all red. And I said again, why me, Lord? Why? So I finally got my phone, and I'm twitching, and I'm turning, and I'm having to call an Uber, and I'm Sandy Springs General. I don't have a clue where it is because I'm new to the area. Just get me there, please. After he's debating whether to let all this blood in his car. So thank God. He finally said yes. So I collapse at the entrance of the hospital. The doctors and the nurses, they come to my aid. I wake up, they're stitching me up. They got the detective, the police around the bed, and they're asking me, Mr. Hare, what happened? I said, listen, I'm at a rehab in Sandy Springs. The guy came in, kicked the door in, stabbed me in the back of my neck. The director told me that there's nothing they can do, so I texted the Uber and asked them to take me to the nearest hospital. I ended up here. The doctor said that they're gonna take care of me. Don't worry about it. You'll live. And so I could no longer, after being there, as a matter of fact, the guy that did this to me, he had just got out of jail from aggravated assault in another client and busted his eye socket. So I don't know what kind of system they got down there, but they got some work to do. But anyway, I left there, went back under the bridge, and I was there a week when somebody I happened to hear over talking about a church called Central Presbyterian. And the things that they were saying that they could help you with, I wish I would have heard it months ago, but thank God I heard it that day. It was on a Sunday. And I was determined to be the first person in that line, Monday morning, to get me a voucher, to get me 1, an ID, 2, some assistance from the food stamp program so I can eat, 3, a resume made so I could lift myself up. Because it's obviously, if anybody's going to do this, God is going to give you what you need, the people. That's what He's giving you, the people, so you can fend for yourself. And she made a resume for me right in that room.
Did she make it or did you make it?
She made it. I gave her the information because I don't have any skills. At 60 years old, I'm still using paper. And I can turn the computer on. And I might can print out my name out, but that's about it. So had it not been for Central Presbyterian's employment and computers, right now today I wouldn't be where I am. In fact, I want to applaud each and every one of those people she named in her administration because they're definitely instrumental to every department because of the love. See, because we ain't always, the best people to deal with, the homeless people. Because some of us are mentally incapacitated. Some of us just, because of drugs and alcohol. Some of us because we just don't care. Some of us just because that we wasn't taught how to treat people. They have a lot to deal with. And for them to bypass all that and get to the people who do have and want to and have a will to try to get back to society and to help us. I don't know what I would do without it.
How are you treated?
My God. And I'm talking about somebody that's living under the bridge with the same clothes on, with the same, I hadn't showered a couple weeks. And again, my mentality at this point, after coming out of the hospital with 50 stitches and still no help from anybody until I get here, was, I was hopeless. I didn't want to live. And of course, when I say that I came Presbyterian, I was out there for almost 8-9 months because the mind had just went blank from all that has happened. From the judge telling me I can't go back to my own house after working 15 years, after COVID, after prison, and after a stabbing. That's just too much. But God knows what He made. He made me to take those things, use them, and that's what I'm doing now, telling my story, hoping that whoever's involved in helping these people, help me, help those people, continue to do it, because there is a success story. I don't know how often, but until we get a number on that, let's keep helping. So people like me that want some help, we can get it. Because if it wasn't for Central Presbyterian, I wouldn't be here right now today.
I think that you are definitely one of the success stories that we've had. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Well, again, if it wasn't for the employment section, doing the resume, and the woman who heads that department, Sonia, my God. I got my job back. The union agreed to have a meeting. The board decided to meet to decide my fate. You did your 15 years. At least we could do is discuss you coming back. After all that you've been through. Now God has a lot to do with it too. It wasn't me, it wasn't just Sonya. God. And after she did the resume and made the calls, and next thing I know, I got a call saying, well, welcome back. So I've been back at the IB Cup for the last 2 weeks. It's not a long time. But thank God. But because of Central Presbyterian giving me the hope. See, without the hope, there's nothing. And all this stuff that they got for you to get back on your feet, that's your hope. If it wasn't for them, I could be under that same bridge this Sunday, like I've spent every other Sunday. But this Sunday, I'm here to let you know that God works, Central Presbyterian works, I work now, and hoping you guys will do your work.
One last question for you.
Okay.
What would you tell someone who's looking for ID, employment, clothing, all those things? What would you tell them? What would you tell them about?
Go down to Central Presbyterian. See Kelly, she'll put you directed from the day you walk through the door to the time you walk out the door. Everything will be taken care of. That good? Thank you, guys.